My name is Kate Chong, and thank you for joining this Art for Wellness session. Before we begin, I'd like to review with you how to participate in this session. Please feel free to enter any questions you may have throughout the presentation. We will collect those questions at the end of the presentation, and we will address as many as we can. You'll have the opportunity during that Q&A period to ask questions live as time permits. We invite you to send any further questions to kidneyprograms@kidney.ca. The chat feature is only available on FeedLoop and in the box at the right-hand side of your screen. If you have general comments that are not questions, those can be entered there. Please remember that the Kidney Foundation is not able to offer medical advice. For specific information about your own situation, please speak with your healthcare team. Now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Daniella Haddad and Brooke Henderson, art therapists interns, who have been running Art for Wellness sessions on our Kidney Wellness Hub. So first, Brooke Henderson is a second-year art therapy intern at Kootenai Art Therapy Institute and holds a BA in psychology. Brooke's area of interest is helping individuals break through psychological and mental barriers by using art as a tool for self-expression and somatic processing. Brooke hopes to hold space for others to share and explore their experience through art making and creativity. And next, we've got Daniella, embodies the roles of nurturing mother, an artist and an art therapy intern. With colors, textures, and storytelling, she channels the potent healing and inspiring capabilities of art. Her aspiration is gently guide individuals on a journey of emotional revelation, offering solace and cultivating growth through the therapeutic prowess of creative expression. So without further ado, please, Danielle and Brooke, take us through a session of Art for Wellness.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, that was a really nice introduction. And yeah, I'm gonna just say hi and then Brooke can say hi and then we can go off into the session. It's an honor just to be able to speak to so many of you online and to be able to be from different parts of the world. I'm located in Toronto at the moment. So my time is 4:30. I know it's different everywhere. We're gonna take you on a little journey of what art therapy feels like. Of course, we won't be able to see your art during the session, but we would love for you to participate throughout. Yeah, so I'm Daniella, and as you heard, we are art therapy interns, and I'm gonna pass it to Brooke to introduce herself.
Hi, yes, I'm also welcome or so happy to be here. Yeah, I'm excited to share the art therapy process, and I'm always excited to bring new people on board and create art together. Yeah, I'm just excited to jump into it.
Yeah, we just want to remind you that we are doing Art for Wellness sessions here with the Kidney Foundation, and you can get more information about that later. But if you are interested in what we're offering today, you can join our sessions, and they're on Fridays, and hopefully we'll be adding to the week more days. So yeah. First of all, we are art therapy interns, so we are currently studying to become art therapists. And we have supervisors who help us understand what art therapy is, and we're trying to understand it for ourselves as well. I think it's, yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's really, really big, and we're just going to discuss it, Brooke and I, what we think art therapy is. So for me, I can go first. It's really therapy, but we have an extra superpower and an extra tool, which is art making. So we're not just talking to you when we're going through a therapeutic session. We're actually asking you to, create art, to, destroy art, to build art, to create together. And we feel like that offers another perspective to whatever issues we're trying to deal with or talk through. Yeah, Brooke, what is art therapy to you?
Yeah, I think one of the visuals that I like to explain what art therapy is when you're in a regular therapy session, it's kind of just like one-on-one. So it's the therapist and the client talking back and forth. Obviously, in a group setting, it's more than that. But with the art, you have like a bit of like a triangle. So you're in dialogue with the person, but you're also in dialogue with the art. And then you can ask questions to the art and about the art. And it creates a really interesting way to hold whatever you're working on that session, whatever emotion, if it's fun, if it's play, it just adds this other element to the art therapy group.
Totally. And it's also a place, if you don't want to dig into deep emotions, because we can definitely reach deep feelings when we're doing art therapy, it's also a place to experiment and to play and to just remember our inner child and bring them out a little bit more, because that could, offer us some sort of a life review. It can remind us of our resources, what makes us feel good. It's a really cool tool to kind of get to know ourselves a little bit better. And yeah, so I like to think of it as a place to play and to experiment. And we say it's a safe space, but safety is co-created. So if we're in a group, or if we're in, if we're one-on-one, we create safety together. We don't just say there is safety. And that means we ask you what feels safe to you. So we kind of work together with our group every week to make sure that everyone is feeling heard, feeling witnessed, feeling validated. And yeah, those are the really important pillars of art therapy for me. And I think for Brooke, and I think she agrees with me, because we've been hosting the groups together, and we really care about how you're feeling inside the group, and if it feels safe. Because if you're not feeling safe, you're not going to be able to heal, you're not going to be able to express yourself, and let whatever is inside out. Yeah. So now we can talk a little bit about the benefits of art therapy. And then we're going to be making art together. Just so you know, we're going to be doing art together. We really invite you to try and have fun with us. But before that, one of the benefits is that we talk in metaphor. So instead of asking, "How are you today?" we kind of try to come up with questions that make you think in metaphors. So I'm going to give you an example right now. And if you feel called to, we really, we invite you to type in the chat what you are feeling. The question is, if you want to think of your internal weather system. So if you want to, look inside of you and think, what kind of weather am I feeling today? Is it a sunny day? Is it cloudy? Is there a heavy cloud there holding rain? Is it raining already? Is there thunder? Whatever it is that you're feeling inside of you, your weather system, what is it? And if you can think about it and type it into the chat, I know that Kate can probably read it out to us, or Tamara, someone who's in the group with us. But I can start. Yeah, I'm feeling definitely nervous. Just because we're here, and I really want to excite you about art therapy, and I want to do a good job, right? So I'm feeling maybe some lightning, but it's also, there's a lot of sunshine as well. Brooke, how are you feeling?
Well, this morning I went snowboarding because we got some snow recently, which I'm very excited about. And it was just such a clear, crisp day, but very sunny. So I feel like that's my internal landscape. And yeah, I see some comments we're getting in the chat. Sunny, which is great. It's such a great way to just have a visual representation of all the different emotions that are going inside of you. It's a really cool check-in, and it's a lot more fun, I guess, and paints a better picture than just asking like, "How you doing?" "Oh, good." That's such like a standard answer. We just say good. But when you ask a really specific question about a metaphor, you get such like a rich picture of what's going on inside somebody. "Oh, we've got overcast as well." Yeah. See how like much more of a picture and a story that paints already? So fun.
Yeah, I know, I love it. So that's one of the benefits of art therapy. We talk in metaphor. We call ourselves metaphorticians. And yeah, there's also gloomy, due
Mhm.
to the clouds. Yeah, the weather definitely affects how we're feeling. And yeah, thank you for for sharing. What else do you feel are the benefits of art therapy, Brooke?
Yeah, something that I really do believe in is I think that as humans, we just have such an innate ability and I think need to be creative. I think you look at a child and they're always just making art, whether it's singing or dancing or coloring. And I think we sometimes lose that along the way. And so this really brings it back to us. That is one of our first forms of expressing how we're feeling, really, before we're verbal, is art making. So I think that the benefits is we get to come back to that place and we get to add an element of fun to it as well. So just kind of coming back to our roots.
Totally. And I love how it's holistic, because we can talk about how we're feeling emotionally, and We can also make mood boards and plan things. So that's more mentally. We can talk about our spiritual life and how we can do some rituals within the art therapy sessions with the eco art. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And physically, we also do breathing exercises. We try to do yoga. We try to do, somatics, and Brooke is really good at those activities. So bringing in different aspects to touch all the different parts of us is what I think art therapy is really good at doing. And yeah, I hope you get to come and join us and feel that for yourselves. I think it's really a good idea to maybe take a deep breath right now all together and do a little bit of art making, and then we can continue talking when we're making art, if that's okay. What do you think, Brooke?
Yeah, it's great. Do you want me to start with my art prompt and breathing?
Yeah, it's up to you. I have the the color one. I think that'll be a good intro. So I'm gonna start with that, and then you can do your art prompt. Okay, so this is one of my favorite breathing exercises. I think it's really, really interesting because it brings out, I don't know, you like can visualize your breath. And so I want you to think of a color that you want to bring into your body. So as you're inhaling, I want you to think of that color kind of going inside your mouth, but actually touching all the different parts of your body. And when you're exhaling, I want you to think of a different color, maybe a color that you really want to get out of yourself, maybe a color that you don't like, a color that you really, really feel like needs to come out of you. So we're going to do it together. We'll take just 3 breaths, and this will, help us calm our nervous system so we can move into art making. And I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm thinking of pink, and then I just exhaled some dark blue. I'm gonna do it again. Yeah, it's really cool to see color come in and out. I think it really helps me visualize my breath. And I just want to say something. We might do some things that really don't resonate with you, and that's totally okay. This is the space to experiment and try new things. And if it didn't really land with you, that's totally okay. And just notice that and be like, okay, that didn't work for me. And this is the space to really notice how you're feeling about everything that's being offered or offered to you. So yeah, let's do some art making. Maybe Brooke can give us an art prompt that we can start with.
Yeah, I think a fun one to kind of help ground everybody. And it's just as more of an invitation to like make a mess too. Again, we're not with art therapy, we're not making like the perfect image. It's about the process, not the product. This one's a really fun one to get into that. So if you do have 2 different colors in front of you, if not, you could use like 2 pencils. And then I'll give it an option too if you only have 1 utensil in front of you. But essentially, we're going to take, you can see my 2 little colors here, and just pretend this is a page in front of me. We're just going to draw at the same time, and you can let your breath kind of lead you and going in circles. Or maybe this hand wants to lead for a bit and you follow it. And then maybe this hand wants to lead and you're following that. Or maybe they want to work in different ways. So whatever kind of just feels correct. And one of the benefits of this one is when we're working with both sides of the hand while we're creating art, usually we're either just left-handed or right-handed, except for those of us who have the ability to do both. We're getting both sides of the brain to actually talk to each other in a more efficient way when we're doing this. This work is called a bilateral scribble, and bilateral basically means both sides of the body. And it really helps with regulating. It really is great for grounding. If you want to just do a little bit of a somatic work, a check-in, and then get both sides of the brain just talking.
Yeah. I like to switch my pens in the middle, just find it more interesting. And so I have this so far, and then I'm just gonna go for the next part. I really enjoy this one because it just gives me permission to make a mess and not really have a plan of what I'm creating, which is really, really something we need sometimes. And yeah, I love that about art therapy. We're not making art to show anybody, we're just making it for ourselves. And If you want to share in a group setting, you're always welcome to, but also if you don't feel like it, that's a choice that you can always make. So feel free when you're creating. Yeah,
One
love it.
thing I also like about this, sorry, I'm just going to pop in one more time. When you're done, or you feel like you're at a good place where you can close, you can actually hold your image. You can see mine. Oh, it's kind of black, but there we go. You can actually hold it a bit away from you and maybe turn the page and see. It kind of looks like looking at clouds. Like, can you see anything? Like, is there an image? Sometimes you can see like faces, and sometimes I'll darken those images too. Like, let's say I see a cat, I'll just outline that cat in the image. So it's just kind of a fun way to get into it.
Yeah, when I feel stuck with what I want to create, because I do like making art on my in my free time, but I also get stuck and I don't know what to do. So this is a great way of kind of letting loose and not taking things too seriously. We're kind of playing and I try to find an image within it. It might inspire me to do something that I haven't thought of doing because I wouldn't have planned to do this. So this is a really good way to play and to just get those creative juices flowing. This can also be done really, really nicely with music. So you can play, like, you can move your markers or your paint to the beat or to the rhythm. Yeah, there's so many variations to this. There's also like doing it on extremely large paper and like kind of getting your whole body moving. So there's so much you can do with one little art prompt, and it's always up to you how you'd like to interpret it. Yeah, thank you, Brooke. That was awesome.
Thank you for
Yeah.
joining.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so we're gonna continue making art. It might feel like too much art, so if you feel like you want to take a break in the middle, that's totally fine. You don't have to create everything that we're creating all the time, but if you have the space to do so, we totally encourage you. This one is called Self as Tree. It's one of my favorites. I always bring it up because it's something that I feel helps me get to know you better. And every time I do it, I learn a little bit more about myself. So self-esteem is something you can be doing while we're continuing speaking because it does take more than 2 seconds to create. Self-esteem is is you thinking of yourself as a tree. If you were a tree, what would your tree look like? Would you have branches that are full of fruit? Would they be bare? Would it be yeah, full of leaves? Are you well rooted? Are you next to water? Do you have what you need next to you, your resources? Is there sunshine coming? Is it nighttime? I like to think of all the different aspects of the environment as well as the tree, and how it represents who I am. Are you someone who has holes for little animals to live in? Are you, what kind of tree are you? And it could be a tree that doesn't really exist. It could be an alien tree in space. It could be floating. It could be underwater. It really can bring up a lot, and it can be a huge art prompt for you to explore. We're going to keep it simple. Just give ourselves around 5 minutes to come up with a type of tree that we are. But I'm going to keep talking because it's really difficult to not know where everyone is, if you started or if you're completed or not. So I'm just going to be speaking while you're creating, if that's okay. You could kind of mute me if I'm speaking too much, but otherwise, yeah, I like to start with my tree with the thinking of how I'm feeling today, because every day my tree could change. Sometimes I could feel really overwhelmed, and the way I represent that is by adding a lot of leaves on my tree, for example. But to you, maybe adding a lot of leaves means that there's a lot of life within you. So it's really up to you how you interpret the symbols that you're adding into your tree. But yeah, so I really encourage you to try this art prompt, and you can even try it with family members. You can ask each one to kind of create one, and you can like learn a lot about one another through this activity, I believe. Yeah. Do you like it, Brooke? Do you like this art prompt, or is it
Yeah,
holding
no,
back?
I've already kind of worked on it. That's what I was looking down on. I was excited to get started. I can kind of share mine. kind of hard with the, there we go. We can, whoop, there we go. Kind of. Bye. There we go. Oh, no. I'm trying not to move, but yeah, I chose orange and blue. Orange is one of my favorite colors. And then I think of blue as like water, and I thought of the roots as very grounded like water. And then you said the holes, and I thought of, well, I have 2 cats, I'll disclose that. So I put 2 holes there if they want to live in the tree. And then I decided that he was going to smile. So, you see how much you can get from just drawing a tree.
What season is your tree in?
It's going to be spring soon. We're not quite there yet.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe some budding, something is happening,
Hmm.
something is flourishing. Yeah, and everybody can create a tree. There's no right or wrong. That's what I'm trying to say, I think, is that if I think I'm in spring, someone else might feel really much in winter, and that's totally okay. This is the place to kind of explore and express that. Yeah.
It could change day to day too. If you drew a tree on Tuesday, it could be different on Thursday or Wednesday. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, if I want to talk a little bit about the materials that you're using. So depending on what you brought with you today, you're using that, and that's totally always acceptable. You don't have to have fancy materials to be able to join these sessions or to create. Anything around your kitchen could work. Like if you have turmeric and water, if you have vinegar with some food coloring, you can really make your own colors. There's no right or wrong material to have with you. If you are excited about trying something, this is the right space to do so. So if you have lots of art materials and sewing materials next to you and you haven't used them, come to art therapy and you can kind of play with them with us. But the point I think I'm trying to say is that different materials evoke different emotions. So when I'm using something that's really watery, I have less control over how it's going to come up. So if I'm making art and I want to work on my perfectionism because I want everything always to be perfect, watercolor is a great but challenging art material to use because I won't be able to control it. But if you think about it in this time, like in the art therapy session, that's a good thing to work on. It's a safe space for you to work on the annoyance or the stress that comes with making something that doesn't feel perfect. So that's why we try to encourage you to try different materials because they will bring up different kinds of emotions. And if you're having a really, really big day and a strong, full of emotion kind of day, or you're going through something that's really, really tough, we could recommend that you create a frame and work within the frame so it feels more contained. So you don't feel like your thoughts are going all over the place. So the materials and what we use, like if we're using a pen or a pencil or paint, it really changes how the art feels, how the process feels. And we care about the process the most. The final product of what we create isn't at all important compared to the process and how you're feeling in your body when you're creating and really listening to your body. Sometimes something feels horrible and then noticing that and talking about it can help us work through it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just like even adding on to that too, I think of the experience of like working with clay. Like clay is a really great medium to put anger and frustration into. It's quite durable. It can handle those big emotions. So you can see how even off the page you can use different art materials to help facilitate and hold those different emotions.
Yeah, clay is a really, really powerful material to use, or Play-Doh if you don't have clay. It kind of works the same way. Another really, really good one would be eco art. So eco art is something that is available to all of us. Wherever you live, if you go outside for 5 minutes, you can collect items that are found in nature. We like to ask permission from the earth sometimes to take if we're like pulling a leaf off of a tree. Otherwise, if you can find things that are already have fallen and use those, that's a great way of like making eco art. So you're not hurting the environment, but you're also creating. And it's it's hard to make eco art sometimes because you kind of have to leave it and move away from it. So something that maybe you worked on for 15 minutes and put your heart in and find yourself in, you need to let go of and move on. So it's a good practice of letting go, but it's also a great way of, creating with what you have around you. So we also encourage you to bring eco art materials into the session. Sometimes you can collect them and bring them and create in the session. Or you can just do it when you're walking your dog or just walking outside and just find leaves and just organize them in certain ways. I think it's I've thought of there was a time when I saw a picture, honestly, that you with your thoughts in a room, and then your thoughts are bouncing off the walls and they're just like coming back to you. But when you go into nature, your thoughts have more room to play. And so they can go there and there and there. And so you don't feel that overwhelm of your thoughts. So a good walk in nature and like noticing what's around you and playing in nature can really help us relieve stress. So we really encourage that within our sessions. And yeah, maybe we can talk about how art therapy can reduce stress.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really stands out to me is just that if you are an artist, you probably have heard of the flow state before. The flow state is that state of the mind where we're really just flowing. We're in one moment and the next. We're not thinking of, oh, I have to do that later, or oh, why did I say that thing earlier? You're really present. You're really in the moment, in your body, working on the art that you're making. And it can reduce our experiences of stress or anxiety. And I think art also has this really great way of being able to hold, like as we're saying, like when you're with the clay, it can hold that anxiety, you can put it in. So then you are allowed to release that and kind of be in this flow state. So it allows you to move through the kind of sticky feelings and then have this kind of expansion in your brain of that, okay, now I can go from one moment to the next and just be here.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautifully said. Thank you, Brooke. Yeah. And I'm sure we've all experienced the flow state. Maybe not with art making, maybe when you're cooking something, maybe when you're, on a walk and when you're jogging, when you're just or playing music, or just in the flow. And that like reaching that in art is another way of, it's just beautiful. So and it's really easy to get to when we are focusing on art making. So that's a really good way of reducing stress. So instead of thinking of what's bothering us, we can focus on the here and the now. So there are so many art prompts that we offer that just help you focus on the line that you're creating rather than everything else that's happening in your life. So yeah, I think that's one of the best ways of how art therapy reduces stress. Also expressing ourselves, it's a lot of the time we feel like we have to stop expressing ourselves because it's not appropriate in wherever you are. It's not always an appropriate thing to do. And we tend to like swallow how we're feeling just to please everyone around us. That happens with every single human. But in this space, Brooke and I are trained to hold what you're holding and to contain it and to not let it touch us in a way that can lead us to burnout. We're trained not to get burnt out by your stories. So when you're talking to someone who's a therapist, we can really, 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 we're not just your friends, we are therapists. We can really hold what you're feeling. And doing that also reduces stress. When you're in a group setting and you're letting your story out, many people are hearing it. So it kind of gets, divided between the group members and it feels less heavy. So I feel like group art making and just talking to someone who's a therapist can really be helpful because of their training, because their ability to hold and not be, completely touched by it. I don't know. Did that make sense, Brooke? Maybe you can like
Yeah.
expand a little bit more.
Something that
Yeah.
I really like about group work too, I've done a few of things with the Kidney Foundation and with outside of that as well, is there's this element of like universality in there. So we
Mhm.
often think like, oh, this is my experience, like, oh, I did that, like nobody else knows about my experience. And then you'll be sitting there and you'll be inspired by somebody else that you might have not met before. And you're like, oh, we have such a similar experience. And like, I didn't know I could relate to this person, but now that they've said their story, like I feel so much braver to share my story, sorry. And now you have a collective of people who don't really know each other outside of the group, but they're all sharing this experience in their art. And there's this like levity and healing coming from that expression and creativity, which is so cool to witness and be a part of.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. You totally knew how to explain that. And that is it's such a powerful thing to witness, as you said, because we see it on a weekly basis where group members who don't know each other, never met each other, are connecting really deeply. And that we don't get that opportunity every day anymore because of our individualistic kind of lifestyle, I feel. So the community that's being built in the Kidney Foundation and in any group that is therapeutic is magical. But talking about magical, I think it's really important to talk about what art therapy is not. And it's not magic. It doesn't magically take all your issues away or all the problems away, of course. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can resonate and feel like they like it, and that's totally okay. And it's not always comfortable. I think that's the truest not of art therapy. It's not comfortable to talk about our emotions all the time. It's gonna bring up a lot. Tears come, big emotions, frustrations, especially if we trigger something when we're speaking. Sometimes we might talk about the ocean, and that might really remind you of something because we're in a deep space, and it just might bring up a lot of emotions, and it might not feel comfortable. But we welcome the uncomfortable because that's where we grow, that's where we heal. Yeah, I'm just saying that. Do you have any other what is not art therapies, Brooke? Or did I?
I think you did a great job. I think I just wanted to reiterate too, like I think people probably get it from what we're talking about, but it's not an art class. So it is just about the creativity and the process of art. So there's no like skills expected of you. There's not even a share really expected of you. If you just want to come in and make art, you also have the power to be like, I don't really actually want to talk about this or share my art. And that's fine. We're not going to force you to do anything. It's not like forced art therapy. So that's something also that art therapy is not. You can just come in and have fun creating. You don't have to go too deep.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we can do another art prompt. I wish we could have seen your trees
I know.
and your scribbles. I hope you know that we really want to, and we're trying to see them telepathically. But we're gonna go into another art prompt just to like keep keep your hands moving while we're speaking, so we're not just talking. And maybe Brooke, you can choose one of your art prompts, your amazing art prompts. Yeah.
Yeah. I was also thinking maybe we could do like another quick, we're kind of halfway through. Maybe we can do a little breathing exercise as well. I'll do like a quick one. So yeah, just kind of bring awareness to the bottom part of your rib cage. I can't really show it here, but the ones that are, pretty down by your waist. And on our inhale, we're going to try to see if we can swing that rib cage a little open more. We tend to breathe at the top, but if we can kind of expand through that bottom of the rib cage. And then when we're expanded, hold it for like a second if you can. And then as you're exhaling, it's going to close naturally, but try to keep it open and expanding as much as you can. And then at the very end, you can kind of come back in. It's kind of a cool way to keep this expansion in the middle. And we can do that one more time. So breathe in, swing those ribs open. And at the top, try to keep it there. And then exhale, try to keep that open. And then, yeah, we can collapse in. And then just little bit of information behind that. I was trained as an actor and singer before, and this is a breath that we usually use to help project with our diaphragm. So sometimes when we have to talk a lot or we have to talk loud, we tend to strain with the throat, but actually our power sometimes comes from down here. Just an easier way to check in with the body and really ground that breath and find the power behind it. Yeah. Okay, so fun little art prompt. You can start on a new page if you want. We're just going to draw I'll go around with everybody so they can kind of see what I'm doing, but just draw a shape on the page. It can be any shape in the world. It can be big, small, could be a line, could be a blob, doesn't matter. Once you have that shape, you can either choose the color that you drew it with or choose a different color. We're just going to color it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just adding some color inside that fun little shape we've made. So I can kind of show you what I have so far. I have this little guy down there. And once we have our shape colored in, we're going to animate it. So that means like bringing it to life. It could have a face, it could be a cartoon character. This is kind of like a silly fun prompt. Let your inner child have fun with this one. So I'll just give everyone a minute with that, and then I can show what I've created.
I made a circle and I colored it orange.
Oh, fun.
Animate it. Okay.
Yeah, just a moment to animate it. And while everyone's, I can show mine just so we can get, I've given my guy a fun little top hat and a smile. We're just having fun and playing today.
Stop that.
And then we're gonna name it when we're done animating it. You can write the name on the page.
Okay.
So just a reminder for everyone who maybe hasn't caught up, shape, color it in, animate it, give it a name. I know it's hard. And then the last step is give it 2 superpowers.
Ooh. I named him Mr. Squiggles.
Mr. Squiggles, I love these. They should all be in children's books.
Yeah, 2 superpowers, huh? Okay, let me think about this.
Yeah, I can share mine. Again, this is just a fun, silly one. We're halfway through. It's just gonna have some fun and break up the session. But this is Wormy, and he's really good at, oh, I can't. He's really good at snuggles and eating.
Really good. I love that. Yeah, what does my squiggles do? The power. I think he has the power to get away from things. It's a good power. Yeah.
Good power. Good at
Yeah.
dodgeball.
Oh, we got something in the chat. 1 second, sorry.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's a good one. We have an idea of asking you what you gave your shape superpower.
Yeah, you can pop a few of those in the chat and we can read them out if you want to share, no pressure. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see what everyone creates and names them, and yeah, the abilities they give.
I can't
Fly.
think of
That's a fun
power. Can you give me another idea? Ooh, power to fly. I love that one. Okay, I'm gonna use that. The power to fly. Cool. Okay, so I have the power to get away with things and then a power to fly. This is Mr. Squiggle. Yay. I really
He's a
enjoyed
good friend to have when you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. If you have superpowers you'd like to post into the chat, please send them over and we can read them and then we can kind of communicate with you a little bit. All right, we're gonna keep reading them. If they come in, that's totally fine. Yeah, just giving them 1 more second maybe. And I'm going to ask you to find, if you're done with your shape and your superpower and animating it, I'm going to ask you to find a piece of paper that you don't mind crumpling up or turning into something else. So if you have something around you that you can play with, that'd be cool. So I have a piece of paper and I'm going to rip it now.
Also, we are going to do a bit of a Q&A at the end, probably in the next 10-ish minutes. So if you want to start writing them in the chat or brainstorming some questions, you're more welcome to start popping those in, and we'll address those in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think my internet is acting. You can see me, right? Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna ask you to get a small little piece of paper and then we're gonna crumple it and just make a sculpture for your table. So whatever that is, it doesn't really have to be anything specific, but I'm gonna try to create a tree. I always try to do this, never really works, but I'm gonna try. So just playing with a piece of paper that you have on hand.
There's a few answers coming in for superpowers too. I see X-ray vision, super sensitive hands. Oh, they can transport anywhere, like Star Trek. Transport stuff anywhere. Cool.
I love that. Transport stuff anywhere. Like,
That'd be good.
yeah. Can you go back in time?
Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
That's a good one. Go back in time or into the future.
Power to make you laugh. Yep, that's a good one.
Cleans bathrooms. I love that one.
That's so good. I need one of those.
We all need one of those. We all need your character. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm making a tiny tree
Okay, cool.
that's gonna stand on my table. So right now I'm focusing on my tree. So I'm giving a lot of my attention onto the tree. It's helping me stay in the moment. It's helping me, kind of be in the moment. These are small exercises that, first seem silly, but really are so powerful to our, really, really helpful to our brains. When we play and we kind of enjoy the small moments by doing something silly, um, it gives us a boost of energy to continue with the adulting life that we have. So yeah, just creating a little tree. There we go. My tree. It's not gonna stand, is it? Nice. There you go. That's my tree. I wish I could see all of yours. Brooke, are you making something as well?
I didn't make a tree. I made binoculars. They're not
Oh,
great, but
I love that's cool.
he's
Ooh,
with all his problems in his square belly. Cool. That's
nice.
a good one. Yeah.
That's a where you could swallow your problems.
Mm.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing all of your answers and your superpowers. There's some that I never thought of, and I really want to kind of steal them maybe for my other character and give them to this character. And we could do that. My character can have all of your ideas as well. That's kind of fun. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and now we created a little sculpture. Um,
Did you
Brooke,
want to talk about like how we got into art therapy or about the kidney session so far in our
yeah,
last couple minutes?
sure.
Yeah,
You
sure.
can.
I can go first. Yeah, so I think I've mentioned before I started as an actor. So art's always kind of been in my realm. I've been doing that for a long time. And then I did a bachelor's in psychology, and then I was kind of in the middle between like which one to go for. And then I was like, oh, why not both? So I found the Kootenai Art Therapy Institute, and I was able to do both. And it's been a fun journey. And yeah, so acting is a bit more of a somatic art expression. So it's been really fun, like finding ways to bring the somatic side of things into my art therapy practice. Um, and I work with some actors as well, and it's been interesting watching them grow and bring their acting side as well to the art therapy world. And then as far as like the kidney wellness, Danielle actually brought me onto that. We are in the same supervision group, and she invited me into this, and it's been so fun. It's been great to do every Friday night. Yeah, it's our fun little Friday night party. We make art, and it's been cool. It's so interesting to see how creative everybody is with the art too. Like some prompts, people do things and you're like, oh, I would have never thought of that. And that's so cool. And you get to see a side of somebody that's so interesting that you would have never seen before without the art therapy prompts. So it's been so interesting to grow and learn and watch other people grow and learn and in a group setting. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really great place to say thank you to the Kidney Foundation for
Yeah.
offering and for letting us, trusting us to be with your community. We are learning a lot, and I think what's important to say is that the different populations that we work with. So I know that Brooks works with children. She also works with adolescents. She works with adults. I work with older adults as well, and all different kinds of people in different populations with different kinds of needs. So art therapy, or art for wellness is in this setting is for your wellness. It's not psychotherapy. We're not delving really, really deep into someone's trauma. We're not really going there, but that is something that we also do and we are trained to do. So just letting you know that art therapy is really, really broad. And if you have more questions about it or curiosities, we'd love to answer your questions or curiosities. And if you have any questions, I really, really recommend you asking them, because I'm sure if you have it, someone else has it, and it just takes someone to have a little bit, of courage to ask the question. There's no small question. All questions are there because, they're needed. to be answered.
So
Yeah.
we have one question. We have, how can I add art therapy in my daily routine? I'm very busy. That's super great. We can kind of both answer the question. Something that you could do the bilateral scribbles that we did. Something else I like to do is, if I just only have a quick second or two, is I'll just do it really quickly with my non-dominant hand. So if I'm getting frustrated, oh, I have a million things to do today that I'm so busy, I can just scribble it out. And it's interesting, I've seen people before do this and their body physically starts to, like once it's on the page, these scribbles. So if you're feeling those feelings of stress because you're so busy, but yeah, Daniella, what are some options that you could think of for?
I would say, like, even doing 5 minutes of one big prompt. So let's say you come across something, I'm just gonna say it, maybe you know it, maybe you don't. It's called the inside outside box. We did it last week. We did inside outside mask. It's a huge project, and it's not expected to be done in an hour, because it's kind of looking at all different aspects of you. So working a couple of minutes on it every day can really help you feel good. You don't need to complete art. It doesn't have to be always perfectly done. Another really cool thing that I like to do is simple things like tearing up pieces of paper and making a collage with it, or using digital art. So if you are savvy with the computer, you can use programs like Canva to create something that's a bit faster. Do it with someone else. Do it, do it when we normalize it and create it with our families. They kind of come and create with us, and it can just be part of your downtime. It's difficult to set up your art supplies and create all the time, knowing that you don't have that much time. So that then I would recommend you doing art in nature, where you don't have to, set up your art materials and create, and just like whatever you have handy to just work with, not necessarily making making a big deal of making art, if that makes sense. That's one of my biggest hardest things. I don't make art because I know I don't have too much time to make art, but really, if I just scribble on a piece of paper and create something small, that will make me feel really, really good.
We have
Yeah.
another question. Where do our meetings take place?
Online. We are virtual, which is it has its pros and its cons. I think it's a pro because I'm in Toronto, most people are in BC or Quebec or wherever, and we can all be in one place. That's a huge pro. But a con would be that making art in a group, like in person, helps you co-regulate better, so we can really sense when something activates you, and we can really attend to how you're feeling in the moment. We can really be there for you. um, um, but we try to do that as much as we can online, and that's why we are 2 people in a group. So it's me and Brooke. So if someone is really having big emotions, we ask them to go to a breakout room, and we just spend some extra time with them. We try our best to do that the same way we would have done in real life. But these kidney wellness sessions are online. They're virtual. You can find them on the Kidney Hub. If I'm not mistaken, they take place on Fridays at what time? Your time?
6 to 7. And then just to clarify, for those who don't know what a breakout room is, it's a private Zoom room. So if something was big coming up, Danielle and I could step aside with you and discuss things in private, just in case people don't know what a breakout room is.
Thank you, Brooke. Yeah. Hi, Kate.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to, first of all, say thank you so much, Daniella and Brooke, for this very soothing art therapy session. There's some great even conversation internally with staff members and stuff here, so that's been really great to see. And I hope everybody's been really enjoying the session so far. And we've already jumped into the question and answer, so that's fantastic. You've definitely given us some great tools to cope with our daily challenges. Going through art. Many of us are on kidney journeys, and those have good and bad days. So this is really insightful. And as Brooke and Daniella was saying, the Kidney Wellness Hub.ca, they have their classes Friday from 6 to 7 Pacific Standard Time. So for those late night people out on the East, always happy to have join as well. But would love to see, I think we've got some other questions coming in here as well. Oh, we have a big thank you. That would be great. Let's see, what else? Anybody else have some questions?
I see a
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Oh. There's a question in the chat. Can I make art with other people or better alone? That's actually a great question to ask. It would depend, I would say, on a number of things. What you're looking for, what your needs are. It is always, as we kind of touched on before, can be beneficial to do it in group because there's that element of universality, and you can see like, oh, someone else is going through something similar to me and I can connect with that. However, if you're dealing with something that you maybe feel uncomfortable with other people knowing, like you can also do one-on-ones. Sorry, there's more questions coming in, which is great. And if you are looking for more one-on-ones, you could either reach out to Danielle and I, we can give you resources that way. But with the Kidney Wellness Hub right now, we're just doing the open studio format. So you would be in a group setting.
Yeah, I would just add that not everybody is group ready. Sometimes that doesn't mean you are always not group ready, but sometimes in our lives are really, really big, and you know, being in a group can really activate you and not make you feel good. You don't have to force yourself in a group setting if that's really something you want, you feel in your gut is not gonna work. But I do always invite someone who has curiosity to try it. The nice thing about this is there's no commitment. You don't have to come and then come every week. You can come one time and see how it feels for you, and then you can choose that way. Yeah, and there's the next question is, do I have to use prompts or just create freely? This is great because if I'm gonna start, and then Brooke, you can add to that. Prompts are really good because as an art therapist, I can ask you what your goals are, and we can work on specific things to help you reach your goals. So art prompts kind of help us that way. When we create freely, we call it spontaneous art making. So much more can come out because you're kind of tapping into your unconscious. So you're creating, and something unexpected might come up because you haven't really planned to do it. So spontaneous art making is extremely powerful, and it's really beautiful, and we can definitely hold it. And yeah, we do both. That's what I'm trying to say. And when we say this is the art prompt today, we always say, if you don't like it, you don't have to do it. You can do whatever you feel like in this time. So you never have to really do the art prompt with us. You can do your own thing, but we just give an art prompt for the participants who like to kind of know what to do. Yeah.
There's interesting ways you can interpret the art prompt too. Like it doesn't have to be literal. You can take it metaphorically. I've seen one participant that I had a while ago in a different group. They worked on the same abstract art piece, and every week they would integrate the prompt in like an abstract way. Like for example, they were doing like watercolor on a board, and one week we were talking about like what hope was or something, and they infused the whole picture with like little outlines of the color that represented hope to them. So it wasn't actually like an actual physical representation of hope, but it was like a metaphorical kind of abstract way. So you can always find the way that the art prompt lands on you, and you can interpret it that way. So there's so much room for interpretation, and we invite your creative self to come and make the art your creative way, which is so cool to watch as well. I love seeing how people interpret.
Sewing. Some people told me that they like sewing and they're good at crocheting. I'm like, yeah, do it. You don't have to do the art prompt. You can do whatever you feel like doing in the space. The space is just a place where you don't have to be productive. That's the best way to explain it. You come and there's nothing expected of you except showing up and being present, and that's it. Nothing else. So yeah.
That's perfect, because someone asked there, can I join the session and not share my camera? And I'll let you guys answer that, but
Yeah. Brooke, would you like to answer that?
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting question, and Danielle and I might have different answers on this. Not sharing the camera at all, if you came from multiple sessions, sometimes that can be a bit jarring for other participants. So I would encourage participants to join and have their camera on, at least just to say hi or bye. You don't have to show your art again, you're not forced to. And if you are uncomfortable for whatever reason, but sometimes just touching in. Another reason why sometimes we like to just check in for a second and have the camera on is because these spaces are confidential. Just if we have a visual to be like, okay, so they're not in a coffee shop, there's not like a couple people behind them. We want to make sure that everyone in this space is it's just the people in the kidney wellness group in the Zoom link, sorry. So that's kind of one of the reasons, but we wouldn't force you to keep the camera on the whole time if that wasn't comfortable with you. I'm not sure where you sit on this, Daniella.
I agree in a way, because yeah, it is about safety, really. That's the safety of the group. Another way to make sure that we have safety is by having headphones on if you know that other people are going to be around you. So that could be a way of, like, keeping the space safe. And like, especially if you're turning your camera off, and if you have someone in the room with you that is like sitting there and can hear everything, we invite you to bring them over and let them make art with us. It's better than them. It's better for us and for the whole group to know that that person is with you, rather than somewhere in the back listening to the stories but not really being part of the group. So yeah, that's really what I would say. The cameras is a tricky one because some people don't feel comfortable turning them on, but I think it depends on the group itself, and asking everyone in the group how they feel about it. And yeah, that really makes a difference. And I think it's dependent on the session a little bit.
And of
Yeah.
course, if like pets and kids are coming in and out of the background, that's always fine and welcome. We understand that those
Yeah.
sometimes difficult to control.
Brooke
Isn't
usually
that the
has
truth?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's what's your favorite medium for art making?
Good question.
I would say clay for me. Clay is my favorite. I find it so interesting, especially if you close your eyes and you touch it and you put some water on your hands and your fingers and you play with it. It feels like you're kind of holding someone's hand, or like it feels very skin-like, which can be extremely evoking to some people who don't want to feel that. But it could also feel really healing as well. So I have, yeah, clay is one of my favorite mediums, and eco art, like creating art with natural materials. What about you, Brooke?
Yeah. Yeah. I have like well, because I have the acting background, I think for me, if I was just making art, like performing would be probably singing or acting. But I also really like doing like kind of spontaneous poetry, which are sometimes prompts we bring into the group as a closing or an opening. But if I'm just making visual art, I really like using like kind of that bilateral thing. I like doing that with chalk pastels. I feel like the chalk pastels are interesting because they have like, you can go hard with them, like they can take the pressure and the emotion I feel, but they always have this like kind of beautiful flow with them too when you're moving the pastel. So I think, yeah, yeah. Although there's sometimes all over your hands and stuff, but they are to me the most fun to work with. And then is one more therapeutic than the other? Would depend on what the goals of the client were. Like Danielle and I kind of touched on this. If the client is specifically wanting to be in that flow state more, like watercolors would be great to that. If we're wanting to express some anger, the clay would be good for that. Grounding eco art might be good for that.
Yeah, it depends on the goals of the person. It could be more therapeutic than another. Yeah, some people who like, I'm gonna give a weird example, but if someone likes to, um, I think it's called, like, when someone likes to light things on fire
Mm.
in a therapeutic pyromaniac, I think.
Yeah.
When that's something that someone might feel like they like doing, and they come to therapy. So a therapeutic way of dealing with that would actually be the pen that burns on wood, and like working with fire, but in a therapeutic way and in a contained way. So you're kind of doing it in a safe way. So it's really working on our issues in a safe way. If we have a tough time letting go, then I would suggest creating something that you have to let go. So something outdoors where you can't really take with you. So that's more therapeutic than creating something that you can hold on to. For example, if you are a perfectionist, it's more therapeutic to create art that is less perfectionist, that's messy, that will force you out of your comfort zone. Because when we leave our comfort zone in a gentle and, of course, trauma-informed way, that's where the healing is. It's in those pockets of uncomfortability. So that's where we challenge you that way, softly. And yeah. I love this.
There's also, can I practice gratitude with art as well?